purpose, stacks on her mind. Grinding all day, hustle refined. Chatter is seething, she steers and untamed. Boss is a title, wealth is a game. Power in heels or sneakers on deck. Respect comes easy when you earn that check. From boardroom to businesses, she's got finesse. This woman right here, built for success. She's a bad bitch, and she signs checks. Built her own throne, what you expect? Dreaming real big, no limit, no stress. She's a bad.
It's a beautiful life, Elizabeth. Anyway, High Earning community, welcome to the High Earning Women podcast. And it's all about making financial conversations accessible so that high earning women like you can really make financially confident decisions and live the life they choose. And if you've actually been on this live before and you've been riding with us for a while, you know that we don't just talk dollars, we talk freedom, we talk choices. And you know I love connecting music and the topic that we're going to discuss. So what you've been seeing me jam to just now is the song Ace of Base. And the song is called, as we just said, It's a Beautiful Life. And actually I love thinking about what song I'm going to play for each episode. And this song resonated so much. If you were checking out some of the lyrics we were listening to and you heard my raspy voice trying to sing this song, it basically said, you can do what you want, just seize the day, and what you're doing tomorrow is going to come your way. Don't you ever consider giving up, because if you hang on, you'll find it's a beautiful life. And I mean, who needed to hear this today? DM if those words are like hitting you right now. DM us, feel free. Especially if you've been facing uncertainty in your life or in your career right now. High earning community, we're in for a real treat today. I mean, where we are right now in the world, I'd say, what does it mean to navigate a long and beautiful life while staring down uncertainty? Anyway, in today's episode, we're exploring a really amazing story of resilience, of perseverance, of triumph, and it's the incredible journey of Razie Brownstone. And I just loved watching her spirit in this documentary. It's called Razie, and it's a woman who's actually lived a century. Can you believe it? A century of life, and has been witness to, you can imagine, many extraordinary changes in the world. Her story captured my imagination, and it's actually captured in a documentary called Razie Brownstone, A Century of Wonder. And it's really one that celebrates the power of living your own life on your own terms, facing challenges, of course, head on, and really embracing the opportunities that will come with a rich and full life. And to help us actually dive deeper into her life and legacy, I'm thrilled to be speaking with filmmaker, the producer behind the documentary, who's captured Razie's extraordinary century on film. Welcome, Elizabeth Verwey, who again is a producer, author, and also creator of Spoken Live, Stories Women Share. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. And did I mention she's also a dear friend of mine? Okay, Elizabeth, thanks for jamming with me. I saw you back there. I see you.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation and to share a bit about Razie.
Yeah, well, you know what? We are excited because Razie Brownstone, A Century of Wonder is such a really powerful documentary. And I think it paints such a vivid portrait of an extraordinary person, an extraordinary woman. And, you know, for listeners who might not be familiar with Razie's story, can you tell us a little bit about her and also what inspired you to create this documentary?
Absolutely. I met Razie, I was going through a divorce, and she gave me a lot of good wisdom. And she's someone who, in many ways, represents the heart and soul of resilience. And she's lived through a century of remarkable change. You think about it, she was born in 1925, and her life spanned all sorts of historical events, right? World wars, rise of feminism, the birth of civil rights. I mean, so much, right? And she can talk about all this still, and we have rich conversations about these things. So what really inspired me to create the documentary and capture her essence was her ability to not only survive, but also to thrive the ups and downs. She's faced so many challenges, and she's managed to still maintain joy and wonder and purpose at every stage of her life. And her perspective on the world, especially as a woman who's seen so much change, it's
Oh my
so
goodness.
valuable to me. And I thought I want to share this, right? It's a story about living fully and embracing curiosity. That's something I've learned from Razie.
Yeah,
And
I
living
think
a
that's a,
life
go ahead,
you
go
know,
ahead.
deeply fulfilling. That's really no matter what the circumstances, and that's really what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Well, I love just her, like her remarkable ability to persist. And
Mhm.
when you were talking about that, I think so much of that is just being curious, and, thriving is really about not taking things personally. I feel at hard times it must be hard, and being curious, as you said. And I think that's such a key part of the film that she just embodies. I think she also really embodies this whole evolution of women's role over the last like 100 years, right? And honestly, I think about the early years of her life, and when
Mhm.
women would have had so little agency,
Yeah.
and what we were expected to live within in terms of societal roles, familial roles. She's come and seen the modern feminist movement, right, where
Mhm.
women have fought and really continue to fight for equal rights, independence, and recognition. She must have such an amazing perspective on all of that. You think about it, right? Razie didn't have the same freedoms that women enjoy. And throughout her life, she seems to have found ways to just assert her independence, even with all of those constraints. And I just think what's so remarkable now is, despite all the obstacles that she's had, Razie's just, again, never lost that spark of wonder. And she just keeps discovering new opportunities to kind of break from old beliefs, it seems like.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's a key part of the film is trying to show how little agency she had as a child and how that grew, was very
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
how did you think working on the documentary changed your own perspective on even aging, and even how you see yourself as you get older, and how women
Yes.
should see themselves as they get older?
And it's a great question. I mean, I was raised by feminists, so I was a bit further ahead from the get-go. But and then of course my first husband, he was fully engaged in the household and with the children. So I started to do things that I hadn't done before when I met Razie, because she'd been single for a long time, I think 30 or 40 years before
Wow.
um, my divorce. And so I just got bolder. Razie taught me how to be bolder, and she just shows up, and she's fully engaged in whatever you're doing. And yeah, it was really neat. She stopped taking dance lessons when she was 70, and she still goes out dancing every Saturday night. And some of my friends, don't want to go out any night. So
I know.
it's kind of mind-boggling, but she really embraces every opportunity she can see and every chance to have a good time. It's a beautiful life, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, you say that, and I just think, wow, like dancing lessons every Saturday night at age 100.
No, no,
That
no, not
really,
lessons. She goes out to a club. She
okay.
stopped taking lessons when she was 70, but she's 100 now, and she goes out to a club every Saturday night with some friends, and she has a lot of younger friends. And actually, I have a cute story. One night I was out with her, and we got off at the subway, and I wanted to walk her home, and she said, "No, no, you can't walk me home." And I'm like, "Crazy! It's icy, and no, no, you can't walk me home. Go on your way." So I went home, and when I got home, I thought, "Oh, I'll call him, tell her I'm home safe and sound, right?" And I called her, and she said, "I know what you're doing." Don't
What
do
did
that to me. Because I said to her, I'm home safe and sound, but really I'm checking that she got home safe and sound.
exactly,
Right?
exactly.
She said, I know what you're doing. Don't do that to me. And, she doesn't hold back, right? It's just like, says whatever's in her mind, and it's great. It's really great. And it's helped me to be a little bolder. I needed to be bolder,
Yeah,
Jackie.
of course you did. Right. Like you hold back. But honestly, I still think that's an amazing lesson, right? Like, don't hold it in. Say what's on your mind. She's like, I don't have time, right? And the fact that she's like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to check on me. I'm not an old woman you need to check on. I actually don't see myself as old. She clearly, is changing the game for what it means to be elderly, right? Like she clearly, as you were saying that, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I think I was in my pajamas for the last few Saturdays and a Saturday night thinking, oh, I'm way too old and tired. So does that mean I'm older than Razie in my mind? I mean, honestly, I have to really think about this.
Well, the other day, I mean, she lives independently, and the other day I saw her go up a staircase, and I thought, I know a lot of 50-year-olds who couldn't go up the staircase as quickly and as agile as she was, and I was behind her. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like think yourself young, and probably in mind and body and spirit, you'll probably be younger. I hope you're taking this all in, high earning community, because all I can think of is we really need to do a shift, right? About what it means to be quote unquote an older woman or elderly. Honestly,
well, we all have choices, right? And that's why I'm just drawn to her like a magnet, because she's making the choices that I would like to make. But a lot of other people don't have the models, or just don't really want to make those choices. But I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And you say that, and you talk about choices. And I think it's a really great segue to talk about, finances, right? And when we're talking about taking control of her life and her choices, if she's been single for 30 years, she's had a lot of years that she's had to navigate financial independence and make decisions on her own. And I'd love to get your take on her story of personal empowerment translating to the financial world for women. And do you think that having control over one's life choices, like Razie has, is tied to having control as well over one's financial decisions?
Well, I mean, decision making is decision making, right? So we can't, I doubt very much we'd find someone who's making their own decisions in their life and not their own decisions in finances. It's more that they ignore finances, right? But Razie definitely has, I think she's been divorced for 50 years, it's got to be. And she has been making her own decisions all that time. It was funny, we had a conversation about groceries, and I was saying, cost of groceries going up. And I was saying that in 1975, as a newlywed, my grocery bill was, for the two of us, was $16 a week. And she laughed and she said in 1945, which was 30 years earlier, her grocery as a newlywed was $6
oh my gosh. Wow.
And we were just kind of like, wow, it's
inflation in action right there.
That's right. And when you're really aware, but imagine, I mean, both of us really, that we can remember what our budget was. Then that says a lot about taking control, right? And being aware of budgets and that sort of thing, right?
Right, which you have to even be hyper focused on when you're as far as being on your own, making those decisions and having to live with the consequences, right?
And she loved her work, right? I mean, she managed a gallery. She traveled to the Northwest Territories. She did her dancing and acting, and so she loved her work, and she continued working actively working until she was 70, and now she still does acting gigs. It's wild. I got on a plane to go to Europe, and there she was on a commercial, and I just thought, oh, you go, girl, you know.
How old was she when you went to Europe and she was on the plane on this commercial? So Razie's doing TV and commercials.
99, and she still gets gigs. Her last commercial was for McDonald's. It's on TV.
I believe you said to me that she still does like 3 gigs a year or something like that.
Yeah, last year, yeah, pretty cool.
So she's not only defining money on her own terms, like clearly she's a woman who also you can define work too, just because you hit a certain age. If your passion is still your work, it sounds like you can still do it. Like you have permission to choose, which is what I'm getting from her amazing story.
For sure.
Wow. Yeah. I also have a question around, her legacy, right? And because I think about the impact she's made already in your life and mine, and I haven't even met the woman, right? I think for many women, creating a legacy is not just tied to family, but also around financial independence and empowerment. So I would love to know, how do you think women can build financial legacies that empower future generations, similar to how Razie's life has inspired people, so many people today? I mean, because it's not just about the money. And I think just her story is an example of being, someone who is able to live to age 100, be financially independent, right?
Well, I mean, she adores children. Her most important work, she felt, was with children, doing improv and making up stories. She did some work in schools, and children adore her. Her own children, who are, of course, in their 70s, and her grandchildren, and she's got great grandchildren. So I think Razie would probably define her legacy by the family that adores her. And at her 100th birthday, they came from all over, from Europe and US and all over. And they just, I can't come up with a better word than adore her. And she inspires all of us. Yeah. And when I take friends to meet her, they're blown away and they can hardly wait to go back. When are we going to go see Razie? And, it's really a very special treat for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to being one of the friends that hopefully gets to meet this extraordinary woman in the future as well. We were talking about before how many social and political changes she has clearly lived through. I mean, I'm just thinking as well of all the technological change. What do you think that, what type of advice would you think that Razie sets or would have to say about women who feel overwhelmed by how fast change has happened around, financial and the market? Like there's so many changes she's seen. What advice do you think she would give around dealing with change and just how rapidly change has taken place from 1925 until now, all the things she's seen?
Well, staying curious, I think, is what she would say. Like the other day, about a week ago, I was there and I was telling her about AI and things that I had discovered about AI and what I could do. And she listened intently. She doesn't even own a computer. Like my mother would have said, why are you telling me about AI? And her eyes were just filled with wonder. And I know that the next time we have time together, I'm going to visit her this summer in Newfoundland. I know that she'll probably say, Elizabeth, can you tell me how that works? Or how, she'll refer back to our conversation. A really good example is I'm gluten-free. And she remembers that I'm gluten-free. My mother used to serve me muffins like when I got there that were not, and I'd say, oh, these don't have any wheat in them. And she'd forget all the time. Razie baked me cornmeal muffins the other day because she said, I know you're gluten-free, so I made these cornmeal muffins. And I was just blown away at that consideration and special effort, right?
Yeah, I mean, her memory is like she's sharp as a tack, clearly. Like the fact that she remembers that. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't remember gluten free because it's a little bit out of the norm, right? She wouldn't have grown up in a time where people had choices like, oh, I'm gluten free or nut free or whatever the case might be. But clearly, her memory is crazy. Like she has an amazing memory, and the fact that, as you said, that she's so willing to embrace not necessarily getting technology, but even wanting to know how it works and wanting to still be involved is just amazing.
For sure. She just keeps doing things she loves, and she reads every day voraciously. And she just embraces each day. And she always goes, there's a daycare across the way, and she always goes and checks out what the children are doing. And she's just curious and lovable and out there in the world every day. I phoned her 5 times one day, that first nice sunny day recently. Phoned her 5 times and I couldn't get her. So when I got in bed at 10:30 at night, I thought, oh yes, Razie stays up late. So I called her. I said, I'm in bed. And she said, oh, I'm watching TV.
Wow. I when you say that, I just think you talk about children a lot when you mention Razie, and it just makes me think about the fact that she seems to still have, and sometimes this is what happens as we age, is we lose that child curiosity, and she also has that child energy, which ask her for asking for a friend, ask her how we all maintain that level of energy, because that's pretty remarkable.
And she says genetics, but in the film, she also says that she maintains her body the way she maintains the house. It needs to be dusted and taken care of, and exercised and all that. So she really does take care of her body much more than some of my friends do, or even I do.
She didn't give you any secrets about how she's taking care of herself till age 100.
Routine she does in the morning. It's dance, it's running, it's it's vigorous. I don't think we could keep up, Jackie.
Honestly, I'm really hoping, again, crossing my fingers because of our long friendship, that you'll be introducing me to this lady, because she is the ultimate inspiration. Couple more questions I have about her. One is about just someone who obviously lives her life around her values. And, growing up from 1925 until 100 years later, I'm sure she's had a lot of circumstances where the world has pushed back on her. And I would love to know how you think women can really align their life choices, their financial choices with their personal values, similar to some of the things that, Razie seems to really hold dear, like dance, like, living life on her own terms. Any choices that you think, or any advice around that you think Razie would give?
Well, Razie has an incredible sense of design. And she would probably say, don't buy fashion, just buy what looks good on you. And I mean, she always looks amazing, but she doesn't buy fast fashion. And, she's always buying what she needs, not always what she wants. I would say that's safe to say. And, she has a financial advisor that she trusts, and she doesn't worry about her money or watch the stock markets. I mean, there's so much information these days. If you tried to take it all in, you'd lose your mind. So, she just brings people who she trusts into her world and lets them do their thing. It's I think it's as simple as that. Outsourcing to good people.
Yeah, and I think that's important. It sounds like she's very connected to what she cares about, and she's really clear, it sounds like, about what she cares about. It sounds like, from what you're saying there as well, she knows when to outsource when it's out of her wheelhouse, and then trust that. But another thing you had mentioned to me is that, she not only budgets, doesn't buy all her needs or follows fashion, let's say, but she makes things. It sounds like you were talking about her ability to create her own alternative kind of funding, right, for things. So she still makes things. She sews. I was like, whoa.
No, right now she doesn't because her eyes are giving her some trouble. But
Right.
she made most of her clothes and buys things that she loves. But I mean, what I loved at her birthday, her one grandchild picked out her outfit, and she looked like $1 million.
Right.
And then another grandchild, they've all been vying for this one particular dress that she made years ago, and it's Spider-Man. Actually, it's in the documentary. She's got Spider-Man on the fabric, right? And one granddaughter took it back to Holland, and I thought, oh, the others are going to be jealous because everybody wants that one. But her closet is filled with clothes she made, and they still fit her, and yeah, she looks great in them. So,
well,
but she's got a little sewing machine. If your followers see the documentary, she's got a little tiny sewing machine, and she made a ton of clothes for the whole family on that sewing machine. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you say that, I think, first of all, it's again having that very distinct idea of what you like and being able to execute on that, which is something that I think can resonate for so many of our listeners. And I just think as well, like looking at alternative ways to get things, like you don't have to necessarily buy it, you can make it, you can create it. And I think those are such amazing lessons, especially, when we're talking about how the economy has gone from like $6 to, what did you say your grocery bill was?
It was 16. Hers was 5 and mine was 16.
Yeah, 5 and 16.
30 years apart.
Wow. So clearly we could all, benefit. I certainly don't know how to sew. So Confidant community, high earning community, I'm in the same boat as you if you're not a sewer, but the fact that there are ways that we're always sustainable to buy things, to source things. And it's about knowing what you want and not necessarily what other people are imposing on you is a really great message I get from that. So thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth. And I just think, ultimately what Razie's life teaches us is that we can live authentically and confidently, and that actually can lead to so much greater fulfillment. I could just see those grandchildren vying for her amazing closet. Hopefully they're the same size as her to make it easier for who gets it. But anyways, I think that's something that we can all take to heart, especially around our finances. So I just want to thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing Razie's remarkable journey. I think it's an amazing story. I can't wait to hear about her next 100 years. But how can our audience connect with you if they want to learn more about Razie and check out the documentary?
Yeah, spokenlives.com/films, FILMS. There's that film is up there right now. Not sure how long it'll be up there, but we're going to put it into film festivals and that sort of thing. Yeah.
All right, we'll stay tuned for that.
Yeah, all the information, I'm just redoing websites. So elizabethverwey.com will get them to general information as well to stay in touch. But I'm on Instagram especially with my new book, Brave New Endings.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you want to tell just quickly our audience about a new book you also have coming out shortly as well, the Brave New Endings book that you just mentioned?
Sure, yeah, it'll come out in the fall. It's true stories of caring for an ex, and it's called Brave New Endings. And there's 30 stories from the 53 interviews that I did with people who helped their ex when they needed support, and some right till their death. But you can sign up to find out when it's coming out this fall at elizabethverwey.com.
I feel like I'm going to have to bring you back specifically for that subject because definitely not a subject matter people have probably ever really contemplated before if they've ever cared for someone that's no longer romantically in their life. That's a completely separate and fascinating conversation I feel like we're going to need to have again, Elizabeth. And so I won't also just see you socially. I have a feeling I'm going to have you back on the show to talk more about the book when it comes out. So keep me posted on that. And of course, High Earning Community, we'll keep you posted on that. So stay tuned for that as well. I just wanted to end on this to say that, I think Razie's life is something that tells us we all can have more, greater fulfillment when we know a bit more about what's important to us, and really embracing change, embracing uncertainty. 100 years of uncertainty is a real long time that a lot of people can learn from. And I think uncertainty is really something we have to make friends with over our lifetime, if we're lucky to live as long as your amazing, inspirational story, Elizabeth. So, if you get to live that long, confidant, High Earning Community, make sure you make that life beautiful. Thank you again, Elizabeth, for sharing Razie's story. I really appreciate it. And I know our audience is going to appreciate it as well. And if our listeners, if something resonated for you today, if something sparked something in you, please share this episode with someone who you think would need to hear it. I'd also really appreciate it if you leave us a review, share it with your power circle, right? And subscribe, because as you can see, we've got some really interesting conversations that are coming up. If you didn't hear today, that are coming up. So we really don't want you to miss what's next. And DM us as well if you need any support on your journey. Confidant community, High Earning Community, remember, money is power, and you deserve to own yours. So keep building, keep earning, and keep living the life. Until next time, High Earning Community. Thanks again, Elizabeth. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. See you soon. Bye now.